know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it turnpike miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Jan Ludis, and today we have another Billy G for you. Today's a special guest, but not for the name, but for the impact that he brings. He's an incredible speaker, helping audiences understand and grasp these 7 pillars of priority living. At the same time, helping individuals grow their leadership qualities and skills, thanks to his training and certifications under John C. Maxwell and Maxwell Leadership. All the while having an incredible and deep personal story that has helped and inspired many to live life at a higher level. We'll dive into all of it for you, but everyone, I give you Bill Goodwin. Bill, welcome to the show, and I'm glad to have you here.
Oh, Billy, it is so good to be with you. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Right? Exactly. Now, we met, I think last week we connected on some speaking stuff and whatnot, but you and I instantly had a good connection. And just hearing your background, your story, I had to get you on here because it's inspirational. And plus, you bring such a positive impact in all these different areas. You know, let's dive into for some people right now. So let's start. Let's talk about your story. How did you even get into all this, for that matter?
Oh man, well, I'll start here. Can I start when I was a boy?
For sure.
It's interesting how you can look back over your life and see even inclinations you had as a child sometimes. So when I was 4 or 5 years old, I used to line up all my stuffed animals on the couch and on the floor in front of the couch, and we used to speak at them. Used to be a
Nice.
speaker, and even at times I tried to mimic the pastor of our church, trying to give a message to my stuffed animals. Now this is quite a long time ago, so we had what do you call them, lavalier mics. You don't hear that so much anymore, but basically the microphone that clipped on, and so I had my dad take well, he came up with the idea, but I said I needed a microphone. So he created a little pill bottle that was empty and drilled holes in it, put a rope around it, and hung a rope out the bottom of it. So I used to put it over my neck as a 4 or 5 year old. And that was my microphone with my rope hanging down. And I would speak to my stuffed animals. And I don't know if I had a very good message back then, but I sure had a lot to say. And so I look back at that now, Billy, and I realize, wow, I was headed in this direction of being a speaker and, now a coach. I served as a pastor as well for many years. But, that was my desire when I was just even a small boy.
I love that. I love that. It's funny you mentioned the pastor aspect here. You remember seeing them speak and then you doing it yourself. I sit there and think of, I'm writing a book right now on this. It's a faith book for sure, but it's called The Golden Strand, and how you can look back in your life and see all these little intricacies about how your life connects to where you are now. So for you, speaking to the stuffed animals, 100% it points you in the direction you're now. But it also jumps off the page to me too in the faith aspect. I don't know if you study Billy Graham or whatnot and how he started, but when he started speaking, he did something very similar. It might not have been stuffed animals, but it could have been like the plants, or he'd sit on the grass outside of the big church he used to go to, because he always wanted to be that person that would be impacting audiences. So he'd go to the woods, could speak to the rocks or whatever it was, but he had that idea in mind to speak to someone or something. And it paved the way for where he is now, for that matter, just like it did for you. That's awesome.
Just another Billy G, I tell you. There you go.
Yeah, right?
Another Billy
to the blood.
we got a trifecta going here. Billy Graham,
Right?
You and me. All right.
Right? Exactly.
I like it. But,
That's awesome.
that's so true. And, even for those that are listening in, just, your now leads to your next. So maybe what you're doing right, maybe what someone's doing right now, Billy, isn't exactly what they hope to be doing at this stage in their life, but know that it is always preparation for what's next. And so we can make an impact right where we are today, but it also, I absolutely believe, our now leads to our next. And so just let the process play itself out. Trust the process, that if you're not currently where you want to be, you're headed in the right direction. I often say that direction is more important than speed. I see a lot of people going nowhere fast. But if you know the right direction you're to be headed in, or fulfilling your purpose, and your purpose is giving the best of what you have to others,
Mhm.
then ultimately you're probably going to end up with your now leading to your next.
Yeah, right. I completely agree with that. I
Hmm.
heard the
Yeah,
quote today, slow motion is better than no motion. So to your
I
point,
like
having
that.
the direction and whatnot, and like a lot of people are going nowhere fast. You're completely right. But
Hmm.
if they know that purpose, they know what they're passionate about, they know what lights their soul on fire, and they're walking in that direction, they could be crawling that direction, but they're still moving. And so that's the
That's
best
right.
part. Eventually you're gonna get up on your 2 feet, like, oh, I'm here. And sometimes we gotta
It
pick our
rem-
head up. You know?
Yeah, and it reminds me of the great, a children's book, The Tortoise and the Hare.
Yep,
I've read
right.
that many times to my children and now my grandchildren when they were young. And I don't know, but every time I read that book, guess what? The
Yeah.
tortoise always beats the hare because the
Right.
tortoise was plodding along in the right direction, not getting distracted, as it's so easy to do today.
Yeah.
And so that's it. It's about direction in our life.
For sure. Yeah, I love it. I love it, Bill. Now, when you step onto stages, you bring up a lot of different, we'll say, topics. But the current one that you love bringing is your 7 pillars, and we
Yes.
discussed that on our last call we had. But there's so many different pieces to what you bring to the table. I kind of want to put the floor to you right now. Where do you want to start? Because you have a very deep story that brought you to this moment now. But the 7 pillars is currently what people are really into. Where do you want the
Hmm.
conversation to go right now?
Yeah, well, let's start with the backstory.
Hmm.
And it goes deep. So if it's okay, we're going to go into the deep end of the pool here real quick. And then that led me to these 7 pillars, which I'll outline at least what those are, so people
Yeah.
can get a better understanding. But all this to say, this is in a soon to be released book coming out real soon. You'll be able to get it on Amazon called Priority Living:
Mm.
7 Pillars to Make the Most of Your Life. So the backstory is 25 years. It goes back 25 years. November 23rd, 1999.
Mhm.
I was a youth pastor actually at a very large megachurch in Arizona at the time. And that date was 2 days before Thanksgiving. So I was headed to our church for a staff meeting and took our little family dog Scooby to the groomers that day, which I didn't normally do because
Mhm.
growing up with some allergies and asthma. So my wife would typically do it. But that day I said, I'll just drop the dog off. And while I was in the groomers, I ended up starting to get an asthma attack, which I went out to my car, took my inhaler, and I wasn't getting any relief. It was actually coming on much more severe and much quicker than I had
Mm.
experienced, and began to panic a little bit. And so I drove home, and instead of going to the church, I drove home about a mile. As I went through my garage to go into my home, just gasping for air,
Wow.
I actually had a prayer that I cried out with the little air I had left, Billy. I said, Jesus, help me,
Mhm.
Jesus. And I was just getting overcome with fear and becoming lightheaded and just like, this is not good. Like I could tell
Mm.
this is not good. And so I grabbed my nebulizer machine, the saline. My hands were shaking. I was trying to put the saline in there and on my knees there in my family room, trying to get this put together so I could try to get some relief.
Mhm.
My daughter was on a Thanksgiving break from school. I have a daughter and a son, and my daughter was watching TV, and I called out to her while I was on my knees trying to suck some medicine out of that nebulizer and told
Wow.
her to call 911, and she did. My wife was actually out running some errands at the time. So the paramedics came in about 3-4 minutes and gave me another mask to put over my nose and mouth.
Mhm.
And at that point, Billy, I blacked out in my
Wow.
family room.
Mhm.
So in the way things played out, I don't remember going to the ER I
Yeah.
don't remember in the ambulance. I don't remember being in the ER. But what I can tell you is when I went unconscious, then I woke up or came out of a medical induced coma that they later put me in.
Mm.
And I woke up. It was 9.5 hours later that I wake up in ICU, and at that point I'm intubated.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, I was in a medical induced coma at that point. But what happened to me is that um, I actually had my life passing before my life or
Wow.
my eyes and
Yeah.
in my subconscious. And then I had this incredible thought, I'm going to die, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know, Billy, if you've ever had a time where you're like death is inevitable and there's
Uh,
nothing I mean, it's out of my control at this point.
yeah.
And,
Right.
so I had the thought, I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do about it. And at that moment, uh, like, like the only way I can describe it, it was like my spirit was moving to leave my body. Never felt
Wow.
that before or since. And I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do about it. And poof, my spirit left my body and I was in heaven.
Wow.
And just amazing. And so the medical report I coded actually in
Yeah.
the ER.
Mhm.
I coded, and they were able to resuscitate me, of course, or I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But I often say that November 23rd, 1999 should have been on my tombstone. My tombstone.
Mm.
I shouldn't be here today. And so I had this encounter in heaven,
Yeah.
and it was obviously the most significant experience I've ever had
Yeah.
in all my years of my life. I was 28 years of age at the time, so do the math. I'm 54 now,
Uh-huh.
but I know I don't look it. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But so I'm in heaven. Do you want to know what I experienced?
I would absolutely love to hear what you experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, because this all is the setup for why I wrote this book
Yeah.
on priority living. And so anyway, I'm not in my physical state, obviously,
Yep.
but in my spirit, I'm in heaven, and it just brings to life to me the great quote that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spirit beings having a human experience. And
Right.
so my spirit leaves my body. I'm in heaven as far as I could see, as high as I could see, as wide as I could see, with the most intense bright light. There were
Yep.
thousands upon thousands of angels.
Mm. Yep.
And angels, Billy, are far more beautiful in heaven than we depict them here on earth.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Another thing, I just talked to somebody recently who said, "Did I recognize any of the angels?" Meaning, because there is this belief somewhere that like people, when they die, another angel gets its wings, and you become an
Gotcha.
angel. And
Uh-huh.
and, and I was able to tell this person, no, actually, angels are created beings by God,
Mhm.
different than humans. We do not become an angel when we die.
Mm.
We have our spirit that's fully alive. We can see, we can hear, we can speak. We're fully present in our spirit. So anyway, the light is so intense, but it's
Yeah.
not like the sun where it can scorch you or heat. It's the light is so bright, it's so pure.
Mm.
And then in a moment those angels parted, and there in the distance my faith became sight. The Bible
Okay.
says that our faith will become sight. And there in the distance, Billy, was Jesus Christ in a white robe. His arms were outstretched. He was way
Yeah.
in the distance. He's coming towards me. I'm moving towards him. I'm not sure. We're moving closer to one another.
Yeah.
He was wearing a white robe. That
Wow.
light of heaven actually is what radiates from Jesus himself.
Okay.
I describe it as it's the glory of God. It
Wow.
radiates all of heaven. And it's how I would describe it is it's filled with all authority, all power,
Yeah.
all love, like
Mm.
like the most pure love you could ever. I can barely even describe it,
Yeah.
put it into
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And as Jesus was coming towards me, his arms outstretched like this, I spoke to him, and the first things I said was take care of Carla.
Mm.
Kind of an interesting thing. I said take care of Carla, my wife,
Yeah.
and had this interaction with Jesus that I'll share with you in a moment.
Yep.
But I find it interesting that the first thing I said was take care of Carla,
Yeah.
which makes me wonder. Uh, it makes me wonder about other loved ones who have graduated to heaven, who have
Yep.
died, graduated to heaven.
Right.
How many of our loved ones have said take care of, and maybe they said your name, maybe they
Mhm.
said my name, maybe they said one of our listeners' names, because they want to know that their loved one is going to be cared for in their
For sure.
absence.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so that was significant for me
Yeah.
because here's another part of my story, Billy, is that years before this encounter that I had,
Yep.
before I knew my wife, she was previously married and had two young children when her first husband, David, was tragically killed in an accident
Wow.
while at work, an industrial accident at work. And
Mhm.
so I married my wife. She had been a single mom for 2 years, and then you know adopted her children and raised them as my own. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting to me that the first thing I said on many levels, why it's so interesting to me that the first thing I said was take care of Carla. So I
Yeah.
say those words to Jesus,
Yep.
and he says back to me, no, not no, I won't take care of her. He says, no, it's not your time.
Mm.
Woo.
Yeah.
And then Jesus said these words. He said, I will increase my anointing. Well, I know that to believe, I know that enough to believe that what he was saying to me was, I will increase my presence in your life. That's
Wow.
what
Yeah.
Jesus spoke to me. And at that moment, Billy, the angels went like this,
Yep.
and the light was still there, the love, everything, but I
Yep.
couldn't see Jesus. But what I
Okay.
could see were the angels everywhere. I don't know if this encounter was a few seconds or a few minutes or
Yeah.
even a few hours because
Right.
there's absolutely no sense of time. And at
Exactly.
that point, my spirit was back in my body. They had resuscitated me and intubated me with a medical induced coma. And so when I woke up in ICU, my wife was standing there. People had been praying for me literally all over the world.
Yep.
And there I was, and I woke up, and they gave me a clipboard because I couldn't speak with the tube down my throat. And the
Yep.
first words I wrote, Billy, was "I saw Jesus," and I had tears
Wow.
streaming down my
Yeah.
face. So,
Wow.
anyway, what an incredible, life changing event for me that
Yeah.
I love sharing with other people to give us
Absolutely.
hope.
Yep.
To give us hope. If you're a believer, a person
Mhm.
of faith like I am, you are, as a follower of Jesus. It gives us great and comfort and great hope. And maybe for a listener out there that's not sure what their foundation of their life is, it can give them some personal experience for
Yeah.
them to consider what the foundation of their life is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so from there, over these last 20 plus years, I realized that I need to make the most of my life. Like I've been given a second chance
It's
at
true.
this thing called life.
Right.
And so over the time, I've created what I call 7 pillars.
Mm.
And these pillars, you never arrive. You're always in process. You're always
Yep.
working towards making the most of your life. But I've created these 7 pillars that have been a guide for me,
Mm.
so that I can make the most of the rest of my life.
Mm. That's awesome, Bill. I have questions on both aspects with
Yeah,
one
go for it.
the heaven aspect in your experience, but also the book that you're writing in the seven pillars themselves. But since you told your whole story and people are listening right now, they're really into that aspect. Let's stick with questions on that for right now. Well,
Sure.
it's such an incredible experience. It's fascinating to me because I love hearing that the spiritual experience that people have, whether they pass on or a near death experience. It shows exactly you said. It's hope. It's truth. It shows that what we study, what we believe in our heart, there. And if we go to faith, church, everything like that, people listening right now, it's there. So this isn't just a
Hmm.
hoax, as people might put out there. So when we have a near death experience, there's so many pieces that come to play with it. But your story resonates, and what was ringing in my mind to me was other near death experiences I've heard, but more recent one that's been in the public eye is Jeremy Renner. He played Hawkeye in the Avengers. He had a near death experience, get hit by a snowplow last
Hmm.
year, recovered. Now he's going public with his near death experience where he did die, and like he remembers it vividly. But when he passed on, he talks about the pure love that we can't even fathom, that pure love, and that's mentioned throughout the scriptures.
Hmm.
So for you to experience that same exact pure love, I always find that every near death experience is so powerful, and it's so, in a sense, individual too. But there are
Yes.
these characteristics that are so similar in the pure love that is mentioned, in the that you described it as warmth, but you can't even describe it as warmth because it's overpowering in that sense. But to have Jesus in that aspect, the angel in that aspect. So for people listening, there's so much truth to all this that is accounted for in multiple different experiences. So if that didn't give you hope in one aspect, I hope that
Hmm.
little fact does, where you can research more. But in that,
Yes.
Bill, let me ask you, when you more on a personal aspect, when you came out of this, you healed up from the hospital, everything like this, the experience is there. You now move forward into, in a sense, a more empowered life. One, in more of a personal question, did the asthma fade away? Did the asthma stay, or was that healed? And two, when you look back at that experience and now you're living more purpose filled, other than having the goals that have come from it, like the 7 pillars or like impacting people with your story more, what else has changed for you after having such a deep and powerful experience for yourself?
Yeah, those are things that I love to talk about.
Mm,
Um, so first and foremost, I immediately received noticed a noticeable healing in my body,
nice.
in my ability to be in environments like people with dogs and cats that I wasn't growing up.
Wow.
So a healing there. I remember it was just a week or two maybe after this experience, living in Arizona. We had some friends visiting, and we went hiking up a mountain.
Mm,
And I'd hike. You know, I was able to be outside doing things, but I would always have that inhaler, and I would
yeah.
always be dealing with that. I mean, I was the kid in school that, you know, at recess was going to the nurse because I was playing football or
Yep.
basketball, and I had to deal with that asthma.
Right.
So so I climbed this mountain,
Mm,
and I get to the top, and I didn't touch the inhaler the entire time. And I'm at the
awesome.
top of the mountain, Billy, and I'm going, I can breathe. I can breathe again, you know?
That's
So I
awesome.
realized that for the first time at 28 years of age,
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with those effects of what would be called asthma. So
Wow.
amazing. Now,
Yeah.
throughout my life, maybe it's more in my mind, but in my mind, I've still been, I've walked in a greater healing. My
Yep.
sinuses have cleared up. I used to be the guy with the stuffed nose all the time.
Yep.
Uh,
I get you.
but you know, from time to time, those symptoms try to come back on me, but it's
Yep.
nowhere near what I
Right.
experienced in my upbringing. So there's a healing
Wow.
definitely that I give God thanks and praise for.
For sure.
The other question you asked, help me out. What was the second? Oh, what else
Yeah.
has been different in my life?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there's obviously more purpose, more passion. There's new goals to pursue to help more people. But how do you feel after that near death experience? Your life has changed even more. Like the healing is one. Now you have all these goals and you're helping impact so many people. But what else? What intrinsically has changed since your experience with Jesus for that matter?
Yeah, I love to talk about this because this might come off a little different than you might think. But what I
Mhm.
would say is, um, I don't have fear that I had in my life before. Now there are healthy fears,
Very
like,
cool.
you know, don't
Yep.
touch the stove because you're going to get burned. You know, those there's some healthy fears, right?
Right.
But there are hundreds of phobias,
Yep.
and honestly, most of them are irrational.
Mm,
So so whether it's the fear of heights or the fear of snakes or the fear of spiders, you know, you can go on a list of phobias.
for sure.
I will say to you that what has lifted off of me because of this encounter of being on the other side
Wow.
is fear.
Yeah.
Because I don't know this, I can't prove it, but what I my theory is that every fear is rooted in the fear of death.
Okay.
So I'm afraid of spiders because if I get bit by a spider, I might die. I'm afraid of heights because I might fall from heights and I might
Yeah.
die. You can kind of, this is
Wow.
kind of the way I rationalize it. To me, every fear is rooted in that fear of death.
Mm,
Now, I know that there are, and this is no shame here, there are even people of faith who believe in heaven and believe because of their faith that they will go to heaven when they breathe their last.
yeah.
However, there's still a fear of death.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a fear of crossing over because it's the unknown.
True.
Maybe it's the fear of, you know, FOMO, fear of missing out on
Yeah.
life that goes on when we aren't here. But
Mm,
whatever it is, fear has been the most significant shift in my life.
Mm.
that I do not have that fear. Now, quick side story.
Yeah.
A few years ago, my parents were celebrating their 80th birthday, my mom and my dad's 85th birthday.
Yeah.
And we threw a big party for them. My sisters and I had a wonderful celebration for them and their 60th anniversary. So it was all
Okay.
combined. And a couple months before, they were looking forward to the party. It wasn't a surprise. But my mom said, I've always wanted to go skydiving, and I thought maybe I could go skydiving on my 80th birthday. Now, if
Uh-huh.
that's not a cool mom or what, right?
Wow.
So, so I said, Mom, I think you should do it. You
Yeah.
only live once. I think you should go skydiving on your 80th birthday.
Yeah.
And then she said on the phone, she said, Bill, will you go with me? Ha
Uh-huh.
ha! Now that changes the invitation there, right?
Right.
So I did. I went skydiving with my mom in Arizona on her
Wow.
80th birthday or for her 80th birthday.
Yeah.
And you know what? Probably before this encounter, even in my 20s, to be,
Yep.
a thrill seeker in my 20s, I probably wouldn't have gone skydiving.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, mom, I'll go skydiving with you because I'm not afraid of death. I
Mm.
truly am not afraid of death.
It's
And
awesome.
what happened was we can have a fear of skydiving.
Yep.
Now, there's always risk involved. So just be clear, there's risk involved in
Yeah,
things
for
like that.
sure. Right.
And that's why they have you sign all those waivers and everything,
True.
right?
Right.
But the deal is this. The fear was like getting out of the plane,
Yeah.
but then it's such a rush. It's that free fall is just all that wind coming at you, and then you pull the chute. The tandem
Yep.
guy pulls the chute, and
Yep.
it's this complete bliss. It's just so
Yeah.
quiet and serene, and you're just experiencing the bliss of parachuting and skydiving. And once somebody skydives, most
Yeah.
likely that fear is like, oh, it was the fear of the unknown
It's
that
true.
was what was gripping them. And
Yep.
so when I relate that story to my encounter of having coded, in other words, having died and
Right.
then been resuscitated, I'm not afraid now of what's on the other side. I've been asked, well, what if you weren't a person of faith? What if you didn't experience the joy and the bliss of heaven the way I
Mm.
did? What would have the alternative been, and would I feel differently about going to the other side? I don't know because I didn't experience it that way,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
can say that I don't have fears the
Yeah.
way I did before this experience.
I love that. I love that. And like I love it one because it's so empowering for people, and I love it because I get to hear that from the faith side of it, and then I can see that in the mental health side of it. So I get to study the mind. I love mental health. I
Mhm.
love helping people with the mind, all these different aspects. And when we step into that side of it, you have the ego and you have what I say the spirit. The Bible teaches
Mhm.
the flesh and the spirit essentially. So when we talk about the ego, it's all survival mechanism.
Mhm.
If we date it back to cavemen, we're just meant to survive. That's like what our instincts are meant to do. So the fears that you mentioned, the phobias and whatnot, I've never even heard that, but it makes so much sense where every phobia is related to, in some form, death and the unknown. The
Yeah.
spiders, like you mentioned, like, oh, if that thing bites me, I could die. And you see people become very fearful of that or falling, as you said. So it just makes so much sense where it's our ego, but the goal of, I believe, faith and spirituality and growth in that area is to elevate you so your ego, your flesh can begin to diminish so you can operate more out of your spirit, call it your best self, highest self, for people listening right now, but it's your connection to the Holy Spirit. It's your connection to God and everything. And so we can operate through you. And the more we act on that, the more the
Mhm.
ego, the mind, the survival mechanism starts to diminish, always going to be there, but starts to diminish so we can operate further in our power. And so I love that, Bill. That
Yes.
makes so much sense. And I really appreciate you explaining all that for us. I know we only got a few minutes left because we started a little late, but I want to get into your 7 pillars and whatnot, but I don't want to rush you at all because I love this conversation. But hearing all that with your story and everything, how does it translate to these 7 pillars? And give us a little
Mhm.
tidbit of these 7 pillars so people, one, can be on the lookout for your book, but two, I want people to go to your pages, your websites, and see truly everything you bring to the table. One, for individuals with your coaching, but two, for all these audiences that you get to impact.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm really excited for the book to be released here coming up in the next few months.
Mhm.
And so just to do a little teaser here on what these 7 pillars are all about, they
Mm.
really all are about getting out of the mundane or the routine of everyday life, and every
Mm.
day is just a repeat. It's like the interesting thing is I my birthday is February 2nd. I was born
Okay.
on Groundhog Day. You
Yeah.
ever seen the movie Groundhog Day with
Right.
the it's just a repeat of the day before.
Yeah.
And so many people are living just another day. It's another day on the calendar, but it's the repeat.
Yeah,
It's a repeat of their life.
for sure.
And for me, I want to make the most of my life, the days that I have left. Now, there's no guarantee of tomorrow for me, but I want to make the most of the rest of my life, and I want to help other people do that as well. So
Mm.
these pillars for me, I'll just list them for you first, and we can touch on a little bit here, and then people can get the book and find out
Yeah,
more. But
right.
um, so the pillars start with purpose.
Uh-huh.
We need clarity on our purpose. Mark Twain said, "The two greatest days in your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why." And
Mm.
that's all about purpose. So that first pillar, I unpack, how do you get clarity and discover your purpose as to why you are here? It is
Mm.
not just to go through life day by day by day by day by day. There is a reason that you were born, and I want to help you discover why. So that's purpose, number one. The second pillar is growth. The
Mm.
only guarantee that tomorrow will be better for you and me is if we are growing ourselves today. So
Mm.
that second pillar is all about our personal development. It's all about our mental health. It's all about our spiritual health. Many different ways in which we are intentionally growing ourselves
Mm.
is how you can make the most of your life and not have your life just be the same today as it was yesterday. I want to become a better version of myself every day in some facet or some way.
Right.
So it's about growth. The third pillar, I'll go through these more quickly here. The
Yeah, all right.
third pillar is impact.
Okay.
Impact. We want to make an impact. You and I were born with a desire, as Ed Milet says, to do something great with your life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you've got some, notoriety or some great project that you're working on. You know, making an impact, it depends on who you're with, but making an impact could be holding the door for somebody who needs a hand to get in the door. It could be changing a diaper in the middle of the night because you just made an impact for that child that needed a fresh diaper. There's different ways that we each make an impact. So
Right.
the third pillar is making an impact. So we're discovering our purpose, we're growing ourselves, we're making an impact.
Mm.
Number four is all about rhythm, rhythm in life. And I just want to start talking about it. I want people to read this part about rhythm
Yeah.
because I experienced severe burnout.
Mm.
And it was in that time that I really learned that there is a rhythm to our life, that if
Yeah.
we aren't living it, if we're just going fifth gear full throttle, which many of us do, we're
Mm.
going to burn out at some point. There needs to be a rhythm to our life that's a combination of rest,
Yeah.
play, rest, work. And in there, we're growing. So I really dive into this whole thing and I
Awesome.
share my
Yeah.
story about burnout.
Great. Yeah.
So anyway, we go on from there, from rhythm to explore. I
Yeah.
believe that this world that God has created for us is a huge opportunity to be a playground. There's people to meet, there's things to see, there's places to go, and so I talk about every day. I want to find a way to explore. I want to have some fun. In other
Yeah.
words, I want to
Right.
have fun. I have a friend, Kevin. Every time Kevin calls, I answer the phone and he says, "Are you having fun yet?" Because life's not supposed to be serious all the time.
True.
So it's about explore and then connect. It's all about relationships.
Yeah.
Really talk about how do we develop relationships.
Mm.
The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. And pillar number 7, quickly, is give. It's about generosity.
Yeah.
My mentor John Maxwell says that success is for yourself, but significance is for others. And once
Mm.
you taste significance, success will never satisfy. So it's about giving to others. It's about making a difference in this world,
Yeah.
in many different ways. So those are the 7 pillars. I unpack them really in depth to help people see how you can navigate implementing, living these what I call priority living life.
Yeah.
And it's by being intentional about these 7 pillars.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Bill. I think that's phenomenal. And every single pillar, it stands out in its own way. But for people listening right now, I feel, in my own perspective, every single pillar allows you to become more of a better version of yourself, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Whether it is your purpose, whether it's your impact, your rhythm, your connections, your giving, um, contribution aspects. It's all of us realizing who we are and what we bring to the table. How can we use that light in us to shine to other people? So I think
Hmm.
that's incredibly empowering, but I love that. And you mentioned it comes out in a couple months, you said, correct? We have an actual date, or is it like, because I want to be able to share that for people when it goes live, for that matter?
Yeah, my publisher, we've gone through all the editing. My publisher is formatting it right now, so I'm
Cool.
hoping to have the date nailed down real soon, but it should be by the end of August.
Phenomenal.
It'll be available on Amazon, and so watch for it. The book is called Priority Living.
Yep.
Subtitle is Seven Pillars to Make the Most of Your Life,
Yeah.
and love for the readers to get it and read it. Write a review for me on
Yeah.
Amazon, and love if you've got a desire for a keynote speaker to come into
Hmm.
your organization or your conference or your church. I'd love to have you reach out to me. I also would love to be able to serve you as a coach. So if you got
Yeah.
a listener out there that's like, I'm looking for a leadership coach, a business coach, a personal coach.
Yeah.
That's how I add value to people through coaching.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I appreciate you going over all that too, because I was just going to ask you so we can put it in the credits and put it in the YouTube description. But guys,
Hmm.
you just heard it from Bill himself. One, the book is coming out. We're hoping the end of August. When this video goes live, guys, believe me, look, click the YouTube description. I'm going to make sure there's a link directly to that book. But at the same time, we're going to have links to Bill's website, the coaching aspect, where, as you said, Amazon, everything like this. I want you guys to go check more of him out because he brings so much to the table. And like I mentioned earlier, we probably were a little pressed for time with this. Bill, I would love to have you back because you bring so much, I want to say, light. You bring so much
Mm.
knowledge and wisdom and all those great terminologies, but you bring such a light with your words. And that's what I feel people get the most from your speeches. The audiences receive that because it allows them, one, to bear themselves, but two, it allows them to alleviate the stress in here and see themselves just a little bit
Mm.
clearer, much like the seven pillars do. So I appreciate you sharing that to us. And like I said, I want that link so I can spread it to as many people as we can because people need this. And it sounds like, everything in our life, everything you've been through, for people listening right now, it really does all work together for the good of those who love the Lord. But if it really does all work together, you got to look at what you go through and how is it being used to benefit you and benefit those around you. Because Bill's story is exactly that.
Mm.
Having a death experience that allowed him to come back 10 times greater because God's like, hey, it's not yet, but watch what happens
Mm.
next. As much as the pain might be there, to come out of it with no more fears, to come out of it and have a whole different perspective on life. That doesn't have to be a perfect person listening. That doesn't have to be a death experience that causes you to do
That's
that
right.
in yourself. That could be anything. That could be you holding the door for someone as Bill touched on. That could be you changing a diaper. That could be you, whatever it might be. But how do you use this current moment? Maybe this podcast for that matter. Maybe this one little message Bill said. Maybe this right now is your moment to look at yourself in the mirror differently and realize, wow, I really do bring a lot to the table. Let's start living in that direction. As we said earlier,
Mhm.
that's exactly what Bill's saying. Just once you know the direction, it doesn't matter how slow you go, but you're gonna get there. And like, I hope Bill's words spoke to you. So that's my rant. But Bill, I appreciate you so much
I
giving the
love
time
it.
today. I'm grateful for it. I really would love to have you back on here and we can dive even deeper when, for us to, whether it's your book when it releases or to dive deeper into your story, because I know there's more to that. We gave people a little tip of the iceberg, but I really do appreciate the time, Bill. It's been an absolute blast.
Oh, Billy, it's been my pleasure, and thank you for having me. And I look forward to coming back in the future.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly it. But guys, in the meantime, if you're looking to go find Bill, go to his website. Like I said, click the YouTube description. It's about to roll in the credits as soon as we end this video right now. But if you're in need of a coach to help in the areas discussed today, you got Bill's website, you got my website. Those are two people that feel it in themselves that want to help you. They're lending out a hand. And if you're someone that fits the bill for that you're like, I wish I had someone here to one mentor me or one step in and help with X, Y, and Z that I'm going through, reach out. You don't have to sign up, but you can start a conversation. And that in itself might open the door just a little bit further. So, one, if there are any reserved fears, they start to fade away. but that's the goal. That's why we're here, is to help as many people. The Billy G's are here to help as many people as we can.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome. But guys, go check out the websites. If you need a coach, reach out. I thank you for tuning in. Please like this message on YouTube and hit that thumbs up on below. Share it to someone who you feel might be in need of it. Not to share Bill, not to share me, but to share the messages we talked about, because that means that if that someone came upon your heart while we were speaking, they're in need of this just as much. So lend out a hand and help them. And please subscribe to Once a Week if you have not already. We just broke 30,000 the other day, and we're so grateful for it, meaning we're helping as many people as we can. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, because more videos are coming at you. And lastly, Bill, it's been an absolute blast. I thank you for being here, and I cannot wait for the next time with you.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
Awesome.
Have a ridiculously amazing day.
That's the goal, right? It's Friday,
That's
right. Right now. We're going to have a great Friday. But
That's
have
right.
a good one,
Keep
guys.
smiling.
Thank you. Exactly. See you guys.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Boo signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal. Yeah, I battle through these bars, yeah, I always bunker hill. I know that any city I go in, that I be flyer than Logan, and I be flying high. I want this shit up in here all the way to Shanghai. And my name's not Joe, but I'm not your average guy. I be killing it, east side rapping, cause I'm writing where I'm from. And I know for hella sure that I'm right with what I done. In a minute I'ma win it, chillin' with all these women. It's a dream I've been chasing and I'm never gonna pace it. This is something really got lost in. Everybody said no and now they all want it. Yeah, you all better love it, cause I'm gonna be